UFC 323 this weekend. We've got some decent fights on there, headlined by Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan. Gonna go through my predictions for the card and then give you my bet slip at the end. Coming off a decent week last week, the week before, the only one fight that let us down on the UFC bet was we went against Alexander Topuria. He looked good in that fight. That's his second real fight that he's had in his career, so I think we was justified going against him. But he looked really good. So in the future, we can't hold that against him anymore. Yeah, he's looking like a decent prospect. Cage Warriors as well. Last week we went clean sweep on the Friday and the Saturday, so both the bets cashed. So if you're looking for Cage Warriors picks, that's also on Saturday. Subscribe, and then you'll see my video come up probably tomorrow when the odds are released. We clean sweep the Saturday, and I give you some underdog picks as well. And I didn't put them on the bet slip at the end of the video, but I ended up putting some of them on my own personal bet, and I cashed like 545 quid or something off a tenner. So yeah, it was a decent return on that Saturday card. The Friday card not so much, because one of the fights fell through at the weigh-ins. I think the guy missed weight by £10, and it's funny because I called that fight weren't going to go ahead, because that guy has had like 5 cancellations in a row where it's happened on weigh-in day. So yeah, wasn't as big a return on the Friday card, but still clean sweep on the picks. Well, on the bet slip anyway. So yeah, let's get started with the first fight on this card. So, first fight on the card, we've got Mohamed Naimov versus Myron Santos. Both decent fighters. Mohamed Naimov has been in there with some tough guys. Lost one of his last 5, and that was against Felipe Lima. Felipe Lima coming on late notice for that fight, and a weight above where he usually fights as well. I think that was at featherweight, wasn't it? And Mohamed Naimov usually fights at, and Felipe Lima usually fights at bantamweight. So yeah, come in late notice and then got the win, a weight class up. I think he's gone on to lose since then, Felipe Lima, but he's a very talented fighter, so not really any shame in that loss. And he's bounced back with a win over Karnofli and Bogdan Grad after that by decision. He's a decent fighter, Naimov. I think this is going to be a tough fight for Myron Santos. He's also 4-1 in his last 5, but this win here against Francis Marshall, split decision. A lot of people thought Francis Marshall won that fight, myself probably included. Yeah, I think he won at least 2 of the rounds. But then he's bounced back after that and got a win over Sadiq Youssef, who's a great fighter. So he's very talented, Myron Santos. And I think he will probably get the win over Naimov here. Not sure if we'll put it on, because I'm not super confident in it. I think Naimov's a good fighter, but I do feel like Myron Santos over the 3 rounds, I think Naimov gasses a little bit and he gets a little bit tired and a little bit sloppy, and I think Myron Santos is the sharper striker and he'll just land more damage. Probably steal a decision, I reckon. Just landing more damage against Mohamed Naimov, trying to control a little bit more. Moving on to the next fight, we've got Mansour Abdul Malik versus Antonio Tricoli. Like I said, he's like a 1 to 12 favourite, Mansour, so we're not going to look too much into this fight because we're probably not going to bet on it anyway. I think he does get the win against Tricoli, but yeah, we're not going to bet at that odds, so it's pointless really breaking it down. Next fight, Ivo Aslan versus Ivo Baranowski. This guy looked good on the Contender Series. I think it was one of the later ones, wasn't it, where he got that knockout win over Muhammad Ali, and I think he was the underdog going into that. Relatively unexperienced in MMA though. He's only 6-0. I'm not sure. He's probably had quite a few amateur fights as well, but yeah, and 5 of these fights have been in the last 2 years. Yeah, well, year and a half. So relatively inexperienced at pro. He's coming up against Ivo Aslan, who's coming off 2 losses. His last one against Billy Alicana, who's a decent fighter. He's doing alright things now. Billy Alicana is looking good. And before that against Ion Cutelaba, who, although he's 18-10, he's not like super talented. He's still like a very tough fight. He's decent everywhere, even though he is a bit mad. And like 3 quick wins before that. Sakura, that doesn't really count for much. Everyone's knocking him out. get knocked out by Augusta win that one. Anton Takali before that, I think he avenged a loss with that win. And then, some other random guy in Contender Series. But he's alright striker, Aslan. Like, he's got power. I say alright, like, he's got power and he's got alright technique on the striking. He throws everything into every shot, so he can, catch people and put them out. But he also leaves him open in the grappling, and that's what Ian Talaba took advantage of, took him down and dominated there. And Iwo Baranowski, even though he got a KO in his last fight, he's got a few submissions on his record as well. And he's Polish, innit? Like, all the Polish are decent grapplers, really. It's like a strong submission grappling base in Poland, so you expect him to have really good grappling as well with that. He's probably a little bit shorter than Ibo Aslan. Well, we can find out here, can't we? Yeah, 3 inches shorter. But that leaves that overhand right there for him. I think he's good on the feet as well. See, if Iwo Baranowski was just a good grappler and not had the power on the feet, then maybe I'd lean towards Ibo Aslan a little bit more. But I feel like he's well-rounded enough, Iwo, to get the win here against Ibo. But still a tricky fight, so we'll see if we're going to put it on later on. And he's a big favourite by the looks of it, Iwo. And probably shouldn't be that much of a favourite. I think this fight should be like maybe more of a pick-em, but we'll have a look at the odds on the betting site in a bit. The next fight, Edson Barboza versus Jalen Turner. Jalen Turner coming out of a quick retirement because he retired after his last fight. He's gone 1 win and 4 losses in his last 5 against good competition though. He's not fighting like the bottom feeders of the division. He's fighting all the top of the division really. Edson Barboza getting on now, 39 years, nearly 40. He's won 2 of his last 5. Lost a decision against Draco Close last time. Against Lerone Murphy before that. And then win over Sadiq Youssef, Billy Quarantillo, lost against Bryce Mitchell. So he's only losing to decision in his last 3 losses, but I'm pretty sure he's been hurt in all those fights. And Jalen Turner, he's not the guy you want to be getting hurt by. Like, when he does win, Jalen Turner, it's usually in like devastating fashion. And he's looking a bit weathered now, Edson Barboza. But saying that, Jalen Turner's head seemed to have gone, like, and if his head's gone a bit, like, how it's hard to pick him. You know what I mean? You don't know where his head's at. Like, when it's like that, you can beat yourself. You know what I mean? It's not a battle against Edson Barboza. He's battling himself in there. And if it turns into a bit of a dogfight, like, is he just gonna quit? So. Yeah, I think it's a tough fight to bet on, but I do think Jalen Turner should get the win. I think it's going to be a bad one if he does as well. So, yeah, I do think Jalen Turner should win, but probably not going to put him on at -270 though, if it's that odds. Next fight, we've got Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira. Now, this is an interesting fight. Marvin Vettori's only 1 win in his last 5 fights, but once again, he's fighting top of the food chain in the division. Like Brendan Allen, he just looked really good against Derrida. Roman Dolidze, Jared Cannonier, Roman Dolidze again, and then Robert Whittaker. So definitely been fighting a higher level competition than Bruno Ferreira. Ferreira though, he's won 4 of his last 5, but this is a big step up for him now. A big step up for him, like going from fighting Jackson McVeigh to Marvin Vettori. It's a different level of fight, isn't it? And people are giving Vettori a hard time, saying, yeah, he's not looked as good lately as he did in the beginning of his career, obviously. And he's been fighting a lot of the top guys in the division though. And I feel like this is a bit of a step down for him. And maybe he can get back to winning ways here against Bruno Ferreira. He's a slight favourite by the looks of it. But I think these odds are a little bit off, so we'll have a look properly when we're on to the bet slip at the end. But yeah, I might have a little bet on Vettori. I think he can get his grappling going against Ferreira and like hold him down for long enough in the rounds and do a bit of damage there as well. I know Bruno Ferreira's coming off a couple submissions, but I can't see him submitting Vettori. And he might be willing to play that bottom game, and if he is, he's just going to spend more time on his back than trying to get up. So yeah, I think Vettori could steal the decision now. Next fight, Frasiam versus Nazim Sadikov. Frasiam, 5 wins in his last 5, and he's looking good. Coming off that weird win over Mike Davis, like, That was weird. That I had Mike Davis to win that fight, and it pissed me off because God knows what he was doing. He was like pulling guard. I think he might have had an injury in the fight, to be honest. But it was a very weird fight. Big KO against Matt Frivola before that. He's good for ASEAN. He's been looking good against these guys. He's been beat Jai Herbert, really good striker. Beat Figlak, who was like on the up, a bit of a prospect, and a split decision over Claudio Puelles. But Nazim Sadikov, he's won 4 of his last 5 with a draw in there against Borshev. Like, he's doing good things himself, but like that draw against Borshev hasn't aged well. Has it? He got a win over Bonfim. It's like it was a cut, wasn't it? I think in that fight, and then won his last fight by a KO against Nicholas Motta. I can't see him KOing for ASEAN, and for ASEAN, I think he could get the grappling going and stifle Sadikov a little bit. I think it's going to be a good fight, this one, but I do see for ASEAN maybe stealing the decision here against Sadikov. It's a tricky one to predict. I think it's going to be even fight. It might be best off watching this one, but I got the feeling Siam might get the decision here, but yeah, we'll see. Next fight, Macy Barber versus Karine Silva. Probably not going to bet on this fight. It's a bit weird. Macy Barber, she didn't come out for her last fight, did she? It was like something happened on fight night when she was supposed to fight Erin Blanchfield, and she ended up not coming out for the fight. And I don't think it was like a physical injury. I think it was more like, from what I got the gist of, it was like a mental thing. I don't know. So hard to back someone when they're coming off that. Like, it could be in her head again. Something might happen. God knows. Karine Silva, she's won 4 of her last 5. Decision loss to Vivian Araujo. You would say Macy Barber should get the win here, but like I said, I don't know what's going on with her. So maybe she's dealing with things mentally, and that might affect her. It's all mental fighting, really. At the end of the day, if your head's not right, even if you're the more talented fighter, like I was saying about Jalen Turner, not that he's more talented than Edson Barboza, but like should get the win there. But if your mentality is not right, then fighting is like 90% mental at the end of the day. Next fight, Terence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. Another tricky one. Terence McKinney looked good in his last fight against Borshev, and before that as well when he knocked out Demir Hadzovic. A loss against Rubovic before that. The thing is with McKinney, he's chinny as well, isn't he? He's like got really good KO power, and even if he's not putting you out, knocking you out, he'll drop you, then he'll submit you like he did against Borshev. And he's very athletic and he's fast, but he's also susceptible as well to shots himself. Chris Duncan, he's looked really good in his last few fights. A win over Orki, yeah, alright, but then a win over Vucenic, who's a really good fighter, and that was his second UFC fight, so wasn't his debut, Vucenic. So you can't really put it down to debut nerves or anything. Like he beat Vucenic and he looked good in that fight. And then a win over Mateusz Rąbecki in his last fight, who's a hell of a fighter, isn't he? He's very tough. So Chris Duncan, he's training at Top Team as well. So you know he's got decent training partners. He's been chinned as well though, hasn't he? Before he got beat by Borshev on the Contender Series, and then he got submitted by Manuel Torres, rear naked choke. I can't remember if he got dropped and then rear naked choked in that fight. So he's susceptible as well to the shots, Chris Duncan, and that could be his downfall here against Terence McKinney. I've seen a lot of people picking Terence McKinney, but yeah, I think it's a tough one. I think Chris Duncan, like Terence McKinney needs to catch him early, and then if he doesn't, I think Chris Duncan can grind a win out in this one. But yeah, not sure if we'll bet on it. Next fight, Grant Dawson versus Manuel Torres. Grant Dawson, other than the Bobby Green knockout, which was a weird one, it was kind of like the Anderson Silva versus Forrest Griffin, kind of, not to that extreme. It was like much of a highlight reel, but it was like a jab on it when he was coming forward, if I remember correctly. But other than that, he's looked pretty flawless, Grant Dawson. So yeah, he's just, his chin's a bit susceptible, and like that's not really what you want when you're going into a fight against Manuel Torres, because that's his strength. You know what I mean? Catching people early with big power. But I feel like if Grant Dawson gets his grappling going and takes him down in that first round and can just like whir on him a little bit, how does Manuel Torres' power translate into the later rounds? Because we've not really seen it, have we? He's finishing most of these fights in the first round. And I feel like Grant Dawson's just a different level of grappler to Manuel Torres, even though he's had a couple of submissions himself. Like, it's nothing on the level of Grant Dawson. And if Grant Dawson didn't lose to Bobby Green, he'd be on to big things though in the division. So yeah. But it is tricky because he could get caught and put out cold in the first round. So I do think Grant Dawson should get the win here, and I'll probably end up backing him, to be fair. But it will be I will be holding my breath in the first round, because I feel like if Manuel Torres does catch him, then it could be problems for Grant Dawson. But I think if Grant Dawson gets him down and controls him for the first round, it's just going to build his confidence, and he'll do the same for the second and third, and maybe even get a submission later on. Next fight, you've got Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. I was thinking of Bogdan Guskov. He looks a bit like Anthony Smith on that picture, doesn't he? But he's actually good. Jan Blachowicz, he's only won one there his last 5 and got a draw against Ankalaev. But yeah, look at the level of fighters: Ulberg, Pereira, Ankalaev, Rakic, Teixeira. It's like killer's row, innit? And he's coming against Guskov, who's coming off a good win over Krylov, but Krylov's not really the same fighter as he once was. And Elikana before that, who was talked about, he was doing good things, but these guys ain't on the level of Jan Blachowicz. And even though he's 42, Jan Blachowicz nearly 43, I think he's still got it. I think, he's still got it. Nothing's really changed with Jan Blachowicz, and I think he'll get the win here against Bogdan Guskov. I think even though he's experienced, Guskov at 18-3, he's not experienced in the kind of level of fight what Jan Blachowicz is. Don't get me wrong, he's really good though, Guskov. I think this will be a close fight, to be fair. It'll be a close fight until it's not. Maybe Jan Blachowicz gets the KO. If not, I think, Jan Blachowicz should get the decision here. I'll definitely be putting that on. I think he's only a slight favourite. Next fight, Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot. People are writing Henry Cejudo off, and I think it's daft, really. Peyton Talbot is good, but he's only 10-1, and even he's coming off a win over Felipe Lima, who we bigged up earlier. And this is a massive step up in competition against Henry Cejudo. Coming off 3 losses, but he was doing alright against Song Yadong, and Song Yadong's his levels above Peyton Talbot, I would say. I think Song Yadong would batter Peyton Talbot. And then Merab, obviously, before that, where he had his moments. And then a split decision loss to Sterling, where, that was... You could have gone either way, maybe. And then TKO against Dominic Cruz before that. Marlon Moraes, he's finished TJ Dillashaw before. I think Cejudo can definitely beat Peyton Talbot here. The question is, it's his retirement fight, isn't it? So, well, I think that's the case. And it's like, he's already got 1 foot out the door, so if the going gets... Like, you can't even say that, though, because if the going gets tough, he's a bloody gold medalist Olympian. And the double champ, he's been there, man. You can't count... See, against another fighter, be like, oh, it's his retirement fight. Maybe he's got 1 foot out the door, he's going to give up or something, but he's not going to give up, is he? I think Cejudo's going to upset here and get the win over Peyton Talbot. I think, don't get me wrong, Peyton Talbot's really good, but coming off that loss against Hany Barcelos, and Henry Cejudo is just as good, if not way better than Hany Barcelos. So, and the guys he's beat before that are nowhere near on the same level. He's good, Peyton Talbot, and I think he'll be around a long time. I think this is to be a little setback for him, but I do think Cejudo should get the win here, and he's quite a big underdog, which is a bit of a mad one, to be honest. So 3-round fight. I think Cejudo gets the win here. Next fight, Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira. When I first looked at this fight, I was thinking Brandon Moreno's gonna beat him, even though he's doing good things. Tatsuro Taira 17-1, split decision loss as well. That was to Brandon Royval. Brandon Moreno's, he ain't gonna, like, Tatsuro Taira's strength is his grappling, but Brandon Moreno, he's a good grappler. I think that's probably like his biggest strength. Even though his boxing is good, he probably lacks the power a little bit. But his submission game and his grappling, I think it's like top of the food chain in MMA, especially at flyweight in the UFC. He's been having a couple close fights against Ersagan and Amir Albazi, and a split decision loss to Royval as well before that, and then Pantoja. But look at it, split decision against like the two best guys in the division at the time, and yes, that trilogy what he had with Figueiredo. I think it was a trilogy, wasn't it? I think Royval, he's not that old either. He's 32 almost, but he's been in a lot of wars. Tatsuro Taira, he's on the up, and he's been doing good things as well, but he isn't as proven as Brandon Moreno is. So yeah, I am leaning towards Brandon Moreno in this fight, but I think it will be a super close, probably a split decision. So whether we're better in it or not, I'm not sure, because I think it could go either way. It's a bit of a flip, but I would not rule Brandon Moreno out at all, like I've seen some people do. Next fight, co-main event, you got Pantoja versus Joshua Van. I think it's pretty straightforward. He's looked good, Van, and he's 5-0 in his last 5, but I think Pantoja gets the win here pretty comfortably, unless he gets caught early. And I think, like, out of 10 fights, if these two fought 10 times, I think Pantoja's going to win at least 8 of those fights, you know what I mean, if not 9. I think Joshua Van's only chance really if he catches Pantoja, and I think Pantoja's too well skilled and well experienced. He's fought all these power punchers before, and yeah, I think Pantoja deals with him, to be honest, pretty easily. Joshua Van will be back though, maybe he'll be champion in the future. I can see him maybe going to a big camp, working on his grappling and stuff. Yeah, I think Pantoja wins that pretty comfortably. Next fight, Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan. Merab dealt with Yan in the last fight they had pretty comfortably. There's rumours of Petr Yan having an injury in that fight, but I don't see it really going any other way, especially over 5 rounds. I think Merab can control him long enough in the fight to get the win. Yan will be dangerous, he'll have his moments, but I think you can't look past Merab Dvalishvili at the moment. I think he gets the win here. I probably won't put it on at a 1-5 favourite if he's anywhere near that, because there's always a chance Petr Yan can't get the win. He's capable enough, but yeah, I think Merab should get the win. So let's have a quick little look at the odds now, and then see what we're going to put on. So Myron Santos against Naimov. He's almost 1-3 favourite, Myron Santos. So I'm not sure if I'll put him on at that. Definitely not putting Mansour Abdul Malik on at 1-10. Iwo Baranowski is 1-2, so I do think he'll win that, but I feel like this fight should be evens, because Iwo Aslan is good, he's alright, but I feel like Iwo will get the grappling going and win it though. So, but it's close. Same with the Jalen Turner fight. I'm not putting that on at over 1-3. I feel like he should get the win, but you just don't know where his head's at in that fight. Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira. Now that's a pick-em, that. And it is going to be close, but I do feel like Marvin Vettori should get the win there, so I'm going to put him on. It's hard, isn't it, to predict, because even though he's like 1-4 in his last 5 and he's fought all these top guys, it still means he's only won once in however many years. And I suppose that's the thing with Henry Cejudo when we get onto that fight. Even though I think he's going to win, I think he's only won once in like the last 5 years or something mad like that. So you got to take that into consideration as well, I guess. Farasian versus Sadikov. Yeah, I think we'll put Farasian on. I think that's a close fight. It's very close fights this weekend, so Macy Barber should get the win, but we're not putting her on. Terence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. I think if it goes past round 1, Chris Duncan gets the win. But he could get knocked out in the first round. Grant Dawson, we'll put him on at 1-2. Jan Blachowicz, we'll put him on. Henry Cejudo. So, like I was saying before, I think he's only won 1 fight in the last 5 years, though. Even though I think he's the better fighter and he should win. Like, that must play on you mentally. But at 2-1, I think we'll take the risk and we'll just put it on. Yeah, because that's going to boost our odds and get us a nice return back. Next fight, Moreno versus Tyra. That's a pick'em, and I think that's how it should be. I do feel like Moreno should win, but it could go either way. It'll be a split decision. Pantoja versus Joshua Vam. I think Pantoja gets the winner. Oh, that's mad odds, that really, isn't it? I think he should be a lot more of a favourite than that. Like, how is Pantoja only 2-5, but then Merab's 1-4? Like, that's a bit mad, that, isn't it? So yeah, we're definitely putting Pantoja on there. So that gets us 370 quid back off a 10 of that. If we put that on. So we could probably take one of the more risky ones off. So when we go back down, like Marvin Vettori, or maybe I take the Farasian one off. Either that or the Bruno Ferreira Marvin Vettori one. Nah, yeah, we'll take the Farasian one off. Because I do feel like it. Nah, fuck it. We'll leave it on. So yeah, that gets 360 back off a tenner. How many fights is that? 6-fold. We've got Vettori, Farasian, Grant Dawson, Jan Blachowicz, Henry Cejudo, and then Pantoja. And a tenner on that, I'll get you 370 back. So good luck on the weekend. Keep an eye out for my Cage Warriors video. I'll put that up tomorrow. Like I said, we swept the floor with that last week on both cards, and I made some big money on the Saturday card. So yeah, you'll probably want to have a look at that. Some good fights on, so I reckon there'll be some good odds as well. If you're still here, subscribe. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.